Are we having a technical problem?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Ask the Trainer stream. And it's a special, well, not really a special, but it's anyway going to be a very special Ask Me Anything stream. And yeah, today I have Noseman with me. Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Are you feeling good?
Did we have an audio glitch earlier? Because
No, I think that was just the audio loop. I think we're fine. So if you can confirm in the audience that our audio is working, that would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know what was happening because I was hearing my stream with Joe at the same time. I don't. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't hear that.
Okay. Could have been on my side, something with my some page paint.
These things
Anyway,
happen.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to everyone that celebrates it. And I'm glad we have, how many people? 21 people that do not spend it with their family eating turkey and having political discussions. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here today. And yeah, let me just take care of the housekeeping a little bit. What you see here, as always, is the Maxon events page when you go to the Maxon website, and news, events, that's where you can find all the cool events that we are either hosting online or that we are attending live in one or the other form. So definitely check that out. Then, if you missed one of our live streams, the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel is always the place to go when you want to catch up with something that you missed, or yeah, if you just want to watch it again, which can happen. Then another thing is Cineversity. So cineversity.maxon.net. That's the learning platform that you definitely should visit when you want to learn one of our apps, like Cinema 4D, Redshift, Universe, ZBrush. You can see all these Getting Started series here for all these fantastic apps. So check them out if you don't, if you have not played with them yet. And yeah, if you're an advanced user and want to become a pro user, was that on your side? I think so, right?
Yeah, that was my glitch.
That was the glitch. Now your glitch is at our stream, finally.
Yeah.
Good. I'm curious if we're gonna have some echo of something we said like 5 minutes ago in 5 minutes. So yeah, if you are an advanced user who want to become a pro user, we have certifications going on. You can read through these things. For example, here in the Cinema 4D Pro User Certification, there is a list of certification topics that you can have a look at. It's pretty extensive, but it will definitely show you also what you don't know in case you don't know everything inside of Cinema 4D. And I'm pretty sure that nobody knows everything. So here we go. The last thing that I want to show here is the Maxon Ask the Trainer exclusive wear store. So we're gonna share the link in the chat, including the passcode, because yeah, you will have to enter the passcode before you get to the shop, and then you can order one t-shirt for free, and you would only have to pay for the shipping. And with all that being said,
I forgot the password. So with all that being said,
you forgot the password. I think isn't it Maxon Simulation?
It could be. It could be. Let me.
Well, you can show the first setup already, because we had a question. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's it.
Right. Everyone take a snapshot. Boom. Hey, Sandra's here as well.
Hey, Sandro. Great to have you here.
Great to see you, my friend.
All right. Do you want to take the screen? Because you prepared some.
I never prepare.
Well,
I always
you had a setup ready that you can use to show what the challenge was or is.
Yes.
And yeah, take it away.
First of all, Thank you very much, Jonas. Hello, everyone. And the first thing I always request is that if you have any questions, please preface them with capitalized question so we can distinguish it from general comments and compliments. And I want to thank all
Also,
the people that
also,
watched the
I
show. Yes.
compliment, capitalize compliment when you want to share a compliment with us.
Sure. Yeah. So we
Yes,
can focus on the compliments and not ask the questions.
yes.
So I want to
Exactly.
thank all the users that have been sharing their troubles with me. Now, that sounds counterintuitive, but it is your questions that feed our tips, tricks, quick tips, and all that. And in recognition of that, I'm going to show live a question that was asked by a good friend and Twitter follower that goes under the name of Iron Sight Design. And the question was the following. This is a setup where a volume builder is receiving some sort of animation and it's changing based on something, right? It's a really nice setup that uses a lot of the tricks in the book. Now, here's the challenge. This volume measure has a vertex map which is driven by these spheres. And that's all nice and dandy because the spheres have an absolute position and the points are sampled in order to create this vertex map over here. And what the requirement was that we take this vertex map and we add it on another vertex map with a decay. The problem is because the volume builder is changing point counts, the vertex map, the second one, it gets totally confused because it stores the values per point and these point indices are changing. And this doesn't look the way it should look. The way to fix something like that is to store the data on a geometry that has unchanging number of polygons. And the solution is over here, where I have this plane. The plane now has a vertex map, and I'm going to do it live. I'm just going to explain what's happening here. We're storing the vertex maps on the plane and using those stored vertex maps inside the volume mesh. And because they're coming from a stable source, positional source, now the whole thing works. And this is a generalized, you can see they're fading out. This is a generalized concept that you can use in your setups as well. Now, to go from this setup to the other one, it's very, very simple. I didn't touch anything here. I created a plane that I want it to be at the size that the other plane is. If it's a bit bigger, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use this as some sort of container. There you go. Just ever so slightly larger. That will do well. And make sure that the proximity is there, that it's where you want the other object to be. Now, the other thing is, because we're going to store point values, I'm just going to bring it here so everything is close. We're going to store values on the points. We need points. We need to increase the resolution of this plane. So I'm going to make this 200 by 200. Those are plenty of points. You can increase it if you want. And here's the object I'm going to store the vertex map data on. I'm going to make it editable. I don't have to, but I like to fix these things so nothing changes. And what I'm going to do is, instead of leaving these vertex maps on the volume measure, I'm going to move them as they are, no changes, on that plane. So now the plane is doing exactly what I want because the point count is always the same. And I'm going to just go to the volume measure, add another vertex map, and just tell this vertex map to go here. And because this source is stable, that stability is going to propagate on our volume builder. And this is a general concept you can apply when you're doing combinations of volumes, because if you're changing the volume measure, volume builder shape, then your points change. And in that particular case, you will have a problem with vertex maps because point index, let's say 235, which used to be here, next frame, it could be over here, it could be over there. They're going to be close, but your effect is going to vanish. And there are ways to expand this concept using volumes as well. So you can use volumes and fields. It does become slower because we're working in a third dimension if you add a volume, but you can store various types of data in fog volumes, especially. Fog volumes are better for this. If there's enough interest, that could be something I could show in a quick tip or a tutorial. So thank you again, Iron Sight Design, for sending this over and giving me the pleasure of solving a problem in less than 30 seconds. And now I can spend 10 minutes talking about it. And because it's always about me, 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 me. Yeah, I have a t-shirt that says me.
Always.
Always.
On the backside.
I would like at this moment to make sure that everyone is aware that December we have 3 weeks of mechanical rigging. I did a Twitter post. So if you have any questions or are you interested in things like robots, scissors, uh, car suspensions, bicycle suspension, anything that has a rigid motion, just make sure that you are aware that 3 Mondays of December, because the fourth Monday, I think we're going to be busy with doing nothing. Make sure you follow because I think I have some interesting stuff to show. So let's see if there are any questions here. I'm going to go to the question. I'm going
Yes,
to start. I'm going to go here and start starring things. There you go.
Yeah, I also started doing that.
Let's go.
So
Shall we go with Frank Ollinger's question?
yes.
So the question is, does the Redshift node, the texture node, support Photoshop layer masks as alpha masks when they're fed into the geometry opacity input? That's an excellent question. All questions are excellent. Would you like to show that? Would you like me to show that? What would you like?
So the thing is, I just tried it, but not with a layer mask, but with an alpha. So let me instead create something like a layer
Shall I
mask.
put your screen on?
I
Shall
can
put
take
your
over the
on?
screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you you gave it to me. I took it away for myself, or the other way around. So here in Photoshop, I have these two layers, and one thing that you can do when you import a Photoshop file as a texture is you can choose the layers here, right? So now, yeah, it's always better when they are fully opaque, I think. Well, actually, that is working. This is working as well. This one here is completely white because it has some alpha to it. Let's just give this a try. And the way I would try it is the way that, well, let me first have a look at the advanced settings, but I don't think that there is something like that. What I would usually do is a color splitter, but I'm not sure if that works with PSD files.
We
So
will
a color
find out. We'll
splitter, that's usually something that definitely works with PNGs, for example. You would input the output. You input the output, right? And then with the PNG, you definitely will get the alpha. Now, let's just try to feed the alpha in here. And you can see it works. It works. So let's render this. Yeah, it's using the alpha. Let's just create a second object. I'm totally doing art here today. So the reason why we cannot see the sphere behind this is because I piped that into the color, of course. If we pipe that into opacity, and let's have a look at opacity, if there's anything else that we need to set up. No, now you can see that this is already working. So it's using the color as well as the alpha of that layer. When I go to Photoshop here, you can see that this is the layer with the paint on it.
So I think, to put it eloquently, the answer to Frank's question is yes. Thank you very much.
Well, he was specifically asking about layer masks. So let's try that out. So this one here is just using the layer alpha. Let me just make a quick test here. And instead of using the painting layer, let's use the rendering layer and see what's happening. All right, of course, we need to put that in here. So that's doing the right thing. It's showing the rendering. And now if we put it back to painting, it's using the painting layer, color, and alpha. All right, now layer masks. I assume that this is going to be a little bit more complicated, but let's go with the rendering layer here and just create.
Just make a selection. Make a selection on that, and just make a layer mask. Make it a layer
like so, and
it's a background.
Create a mask. There we go. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back to Cinema 4D, PS file, reload image, and let's see what's happening. So here we go, refresh. And of course, now we should go to the rendering layer. So no, it's not using the layer mask, but it's using the layer alpha.
Can I see your Photoshop file, if you may, for a second?
Of course. There we go. So what we have here is just two layers. One is the rendering here.
Is that a background layer?
What was the shortcut to deactivate this? Was it Shift? Yeah. If you Shift click a layer mask, you will deactivate it. And if you Shift click again, it will be applied.
Oh, interesting. So it's not reading the layer mask as a separate, whereas Cinema 4D standard render does, as far as I remember.
I'm not sure if standard is. I think it's also using the layer alpha.
I need to fire out Photoshop now. I'm intrigued.
Do we have other questions in the meantime? Well, let me see. I'm gonna. Oh, there are more questions. Let me read the questions first before I bring them up to screen.
Are you afraid something will happen? Jonas is
okay. Our friend Sandro has a question.
Go with Sandro.
IK with, let's say, mechanical parts restricted in some rotations.
I like.
Oh, that's an interesting one, but that's exactly what Noseman is going to show next week, right? So we're going to save it for then and use this show as a teaser. Watch the post-production next month. It's going to be about mechanical rigging, and this is absolutely going to be a topic there.
All right, let me just show it to Sandra. Sandra,
okay.
Is this what you want? Boop, 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 boop. So, boom. Now you see it, now you don't. So that's what Sandra wanted, and it's one of the things we're going to show. I have a bold claim to make. I believe that there is absolutely nothing that is plausibly mechanically riggable, because you can seize a mechanism if it's doesn't have the right proportions. I think that there is nothing that cannot be rigged, and I'm going to show the basic techniques. It's based on 4 or 5 basic concepts. So, yep. It's going to be a fun December.
It's interesting. I just imagine you sitting like on a table somewhere in a park with a sign that says, "I believe there is nothing that cannot be rigged. Prove me wrong."
Yep, something like that.
That's cool. That's also an interesting question from Jonas. Hi, is it possible to vertex map with light? That's a very interesting one. I would have an approach with standard renderer. But the question is which sort of light. If you're just thinking of spotlights, for example, then you could create a cone and bind it, or not bind it, but constrain it to the light and use Espresso to bring up or to sync the radius.
That will be my approach as well.
Yeah.
To use a field in the shape of the light.
Mm.
We can
other
use
one.
light. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever used or have you ever tried to use the Luma Shader to create a vertex map? That won't work with Redshift, but
have I? Well, shall we try it?
Yeah, let's try it. I'm just going to take the screen here. Let me
do it.
There we go. So we create some sort of crazy object, like a torus. I like the torus. If you like the torus, just give us a thumbs up. All right, and then let's create a light. Maybe let's first switch to standard here, and maybe let's create a spotlight. So here we go. So this might work. Oh, all right. Did you know that whenever something is, just leaving your view, that when you have it selected, then there is this little arrow here, and when you click that, you will come back to what you actually want to have on screen. So there we go. Oh, the same thing happened again. It's always the same with this mouse. It's interesting. So there is a shader that is called Luma Shader, and what this shader will do is it will show you which parts of an object are in the light and which aren't. So when I create a standard material now here, I can, for example, let me bring this up and just set it to luminance. And I'm going to create a Luma shader. I think it's under effects, Lumas. And in here, you can set up a few things. We don't need the speculars. We can switch these off like so. We also don't need an isotropy. The shader color needs to be white and the illumination 100%. And then if we apply that to the torus and hit render, it should show exactly the same thing that we had in that we saw as the lighting. But now all of this, all the black values, all the white values, everything is in the Lumas channel. So what we can do here is we can create a vertex map. Other tags, vertex map. And in this vertex map, I'm going to create a shader field. And in this shader field, let's go with custom shader. We need the luminance, and we want the luminance from this tag. Now, the thing is, right now, this won't work because this shader is only being evaluated on render time. So that's probably the problem here. So if you want to create an effect based on that, you would have to render it. But if I created a second material and applied it here, and then used the vertex map shader, let's just use the vertex map shader in here. I always like searching for it and filtering the whole thing. And let's throw this also into a colorizer. And in the colorizer, we're just going to load a preset, some interesting color gradient. And now if we hit render, yeah, you can see that. Well, actually, that's not what I expected to show up. Actually, oh yeah, because we have the light in here. Everything else is dark. So yeah, you're not going to see the red parts. Let's go instead with the luminance channel as well. So we're going to copy this, put it into the luminance channel, and then yeah, it should work. Let's render this. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. So the better way apparently is attaching a field to a spotlight, so to speak. So let me think of the best way of doing that. Do you already have a solution?
Oh no, I was going to try the same stuff you're trying. There's let's see, there was a clarification. Light and then
However, the
rays.
other way, especially for spotlights, it's
Light ray. So Jonas meant light ray. So you want to affect generate. Oh, sorry, wrong question. Vertex map using light rays. Well, vertex maps are modeling operations, and the light rays are calculated on render time. So no, you can't do that. If you want to use, so the way I would use light to generate some sort of effect, I would actually go and bake it in a series of black and white images, which is, it's slightly inefficient, but it does allow you to do that. But as far as light, the only thing that a light can affect that is closer to the model is using thinking particles. Thinking particles, PMatterwaves has a light component. You can then take those particles and use them in a vertex map. I can experiment. Finish what you're doing, and maybe we can jump on that for a quick second. I'm going to prepare the scene.
Yeah, I just wanted to show another way of doing this, and that would be to constrain a field to the light, and then you can use the field to drive the vertex map. So in this case, you could create. I won't go with the cone field. I would go with the cylinder field here, and set it to +Z and just make it a lot bigger. Let's make it a lot bigger so that we can be sure that it's always like longer than this. And I'm gonna set the radius to, yeah, something similar to this radius here. And actually, this is already the point where we can link these up. So first of all, I'm gonna make the cylinder a child of the spotlight, because that means that the rotation will always be the same. And then I can go into the spotlight and, oh God, now I put myself on the spot, because now I have to calculate a radius from the angle here. And I'm not sure if I can do that, if I can do that directly live. Let me think. So actually, yeah, you need to create the connection between the radius and the distance here. So this is the cone angle. Well, that's actually really an interesting one. Let me see. You need that. And in the details, let me see if we have the. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit more difficult. However, the fast way can always be to just keyframe these along with each other. But for now, you can see that these are going the same way, and whatever you would have in here, you could create a vertex map and create and use the cylindrical field to drive that vertex map. So that would be the easiest solution without any math. I think that would now take too long for you to watch me figuring out how we can solve that in Espresso.
Let me show something here.
Yes, please. I'm gonna.
Now, it's not a perfect solution by any stretch of the imagination. So what I have here is I have an editable sphere, an Espresso tag on it, and PMatterwaves. Now, in PMatterwaves, let's delete this, and I have a light in my scene. That's lighting here. Okay. Now, the PMatterwaves has an option to use an object as the emission. And the other thing you could do is use lights for the birth type. So birth type, you say light. And it needs to know which lights it's going to use. So you link those lights in this light list over here. And this now, what it's going to do, it's going to create, let's make 1,000 particles and give them a speed of 0 and a very short life. And now wherever this shines, it creates those particles. Now let's become a bit adventurous here. If you go to the simulate and bring up thinking particle settings, currently we're working with the all group, right? That's the default. Let me go here to this sphere. If things blow up, just take the screen from me. I'm going to close this. We don't need it anymore. And in here, I'm going to use fields. And in the fields, I'm going to drop the all group. And then on top of this, I'm going to add a delay and set it to 100%. So now, let me set this to 9,000. So we have time to play. You can increase the particle count, but essentially the light is creating the vertex map with, oh, it's not updating. I hate that when it happens. Okay.
Yeah, maybe just
Oh,
in
it's a delay. No. It's me. It's the delay. I want to put a decay. I always confuse them because now it takes time for it to introduce the vertex map because I'm delaying it. Delays work both when they are propagating the data and reading the data. So I wanted a decay, right? And then a maximum this, and now this is what we do. So, oh my God, look, I made a new effect where you can use this any way you want. It's nice and fancy. I mean, even if this is not what you wanted, come on, tell me, isn't this the coolest thing you've ever seen lately? I feel
It
quite
is cool.
proud. I
It is cool.
feel there's a combination of pride and serendipity going on here. So I feel proud and lucky at the same time. I didn't expect this, but anyhow. So yeah, it depends. My answer, it's a standard answer. Oh, it depends, but
It
there is
depends.
a way. There is a way of doing it. Probably an easier way, but I prefer that. And then you can put this under a deformer, and it can you can make this explode. This is what happens when you ask these kind of questions, people. Really? And you don't even need a vertex map unless you use it for a texture or something. I'm going to use this here, set this to point deformer, set the parameter to, let's say, 10. See if this is going to do anything here. Fields, vertex map. I don't need to use a vertex map. I can go and use the group directly. There you go. So now you have these bulging. Isn't that cool? And then you can go and add a delay a delay effector, MoGraph effect delay effector, and make that a deformer. And now let's increase this value and see if the delay, it's not delaying. Let me see, what do I need to spring or blend? There you go. That was the solution. Look at that. Now you have your light and you're creating an interesting deformation. That wasn't the question though. Okay, so I can see.
You've been carried away.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you ask Noseman a question and don't give him a time limit.
Oh, come on, tell me that this
It
is
is cool. It is cool. Yes, it is.
even if you just leave the particles there, don't render them, just to daze your colleagues. Hey, you know how I did this? And I license everyone to use this and sell it as their own idea. This is the price of joining us, is that you can plagiarize everything. You have to, actually. It's mandated. You have to plagiarize all the ideas you find here. If anyone does anything interesting with this, don't credit me. Just post it and become famous. Look at that. Feel quite happy about that. And I missed a bunch of questions and I forgot everything else. All right.
All right. I start a few questions here in the background.
Okay. Do you have anything ready to show? All right. Let me go up because
I was busy starring questions, but one of the questions that I wanted to bring up is the one from Ignash. Will we may get a system where we won't need to worry about priorities? So I'm not gonna answer the question, but I want to answer what this would mean. This would mean that everything would be node-based. And to be honest, I'm not sure if everybody wants that.
Well, I do have an answer. And the answer is that Maxon is very well aware that the Spline IK is not functioning the optimal way that character animators use it. They're aware, right? I'm going to leave it on the table. They're aware. The other thing I'm going to say is that we won't talk about Spline IK in my series. It's about mechanical rigging, and Spline IK is ideal for non-mechanical things. Well, you can use it in various ways, but we are going to do rigid stuff. Let's see. What's the next question? Is that from Symphoniac? Right. Here it is. Is there a way to generate a spline from a selection tag procedurally? I would assume you mean from an edge selection. Is that correct? Because Jonas can show you how to do that with nodes. Can you?
Can I? I don't think so.
I think we have the edge to line. Do we or don't we? Right, let's see if it is. Right, let me. You just go here. You type C and you go edge break, edge to line. There you go.
Oh, I didn't have that on the radar.
So the edge to spline, the equivalent in nodes is edge to line, and I can show it. I can just show you how you would go and do that. Do it. I'm not going to go into much procedural depth. I'm just going to go here and make this editable so we can have a selection. There are ways to do procedural selections and all that, but let's just try this and see what happens. So we have this selection, and this is what we call the active selection. I posted a YouTube video today that sort of talks about that to a certain extent. Let's go here and get a modifier. I'm not going to get a modifier. I'm going to get a modifier. Needs to modify. It's going to be a bit iffy. So spline. Let's see if this is going to work, because we need to connect an object, and that is an experimental workflow. So spline, Nodes Spline. That's what I'm looking for. So this is a generator. Now, to be on the safe side, we don't suggest that you link objects with these experimental workflows, but it can be doable. If we want, this generates splines. And in order to read the object underneath, there's a particular thing you have to do. You have to add an input. You have to right-click on the input, and in a few seconds, a context menu is going to appear. And you go to the advanced and you say, I want the object. And the first input reads the first object, the second, the second, and so forth, if you have many children. Again, this is an experimental workflow. Now, still, this is not what we want. We need the geometry that comes in from that. So you right-click again, and you go to the nested ports. And somewhere down here, there's something called the object bundle. This is the bundle of information that contains whatever an object, the data that an object has in the object manager, essentially. And you read the geometry. Now, when you open this, now you have the geometry here. Let's see if this is going to work. Edge, because it may not work. So edge to line. Let's get this geometry from here. And let's see, first of all, what's going to happen if I connect it to the output. So it's getting everything. Okay, so the problem here is that the edge to line is reading, it's not allowing us to get that active selection. So we do get everything as a line here, but in its current state, it doesn't allow us to get the selection data. So I don't know if...
I know that Rocket Lasso has a plugin that does exactly that.
Oh,
So
I think one exists on my YouTube channel, a procedural edge to line. It's a Python um, plugin as well, so you can take your pick. But it's not that this may not be possible. Maybe I can make an edge selection or something like that. Selection.
yeah, let's give it one try, but then go to other questions before we
So I'm trying to
use too
remember.
much time on it.
Yeah. No. I can't remember the name of the node, and it's not the selection, but a selection won't do it because this doesn't support selections. Yeah. Let me think. No, there are ways to do it programmatically because you can um, extract the data from these edges, but it becomes a bit too cumbersome to do it quite simply. So I reserve the right to add this information when it's mature enough. So let's go back to our standard layout and see what other question. I apologize, I didn't have a direct answer for that question. Let's see where
That's
we?
absolutely no problem, because this is quite well. The easy answer to that question is either get that Python script from your channel, right, or
Yeah,
the Rocket
yeah,
Lasso
edge to
plugin.
line. It's basically an
Yeah.
implementation, a Python implementation of the edge to spline as a Python generator, and it will just give you those things. And I have a video tutorial as well, so just look for edge to line and edge to spline, and you will see it there. I think it still works because the Python hasn't changed. It's been around for a couple of years, so go check it out if you go on YouTube and search me by name, Athanasios Prosantis, and subscribe and click the notification bell. And yes, Ignash says there are a million plugins for this: Insidium, Respline, Rocket Lasso plugins, and all that. So there are some excellent third-party and very affordable plugins for these kind of things. Okay, shall we? Let's see here, Jonathan Velos. Hello, Jonathan. How have you been? Can a
Hello.
text be filled with its spheres? Well, let's see now if this is going to be extremely complex. Can a text be filled with spheres and have the spheres bulge, deforming the surface, then be torn apart and have the spheres inside be expelled? The answer is yes. It's a multi-stage process. I'm going to just the first thing you need to do, I guess you mean with using simulations. You need to make sure that you generate your spheres in the volume. All right, shall I just quickly, let's see what time, we have another 15 minutes. Very quickly, the general concept behind this, okay? I prefer to work with a text spline and extrude just
Yeah,
because it
me too.
contains less data. The other one is the old Node Spline and has a bunch of stuff associated to it. So we need something a bit bulkier. I don't know if this has anything bulkier. Let's go with this. Now, to fill this with spheres, we can use the cloner in volumetric mode. If we're going to use dynamics, a hexahedron that creates quads is good. Let's make these quite small. And the cloner itself has a grid mode set to object. And let me go to object here, and I'm actually wrong. There are a couple of ways to do this, not object, but you can make a grid and fill an object with it. Let's see where these are. Form, cubic object. No, where's my volume? Oh yeah, they're too far apart. And let's increase the number. You can see that because they're too large, we can't see them, so it's deceptive. And just make sure that there's enough space between them. So how much is my sphere? My sphere is 5, so I can go and space them 11, just 11 and 11, and make sure that you have enough to fill your volume. So your bounding box needs to be quite big, as you can see here. Hope I don't create too many of these spheres. And I pulled the wrong little button here. You have these hot corners where you can pull them and make it bigger or smaller, but I can go and just expand this to have more. So this will be the first step, right? To fill your object, just make sure that it encapsulates everything so that everything is visible. Now, the next step would be add, let's say, some randomness to this. So you can go and use a random effector in scale mode and go to scale, go to uniform scale and do a bit of a scaling here, okay? Now, the problem with this is because some of them are growing and some of them are getting smaller, you get these overlaps. So the third stage here would be ideally to use the push apart effector with a radius slightly bigger than this to push them apart. So you go to MoGraph and do a push apart, and let's set this to 6. And this, and you don't need so many iterations. But
I mean,
this should, sorry?
alternatively, if you really want to stay within the boundaries of the text, you could also simulate. And
Oh yeah, yeah. I think there's about 23.2 ways of doing this. This is just one of the ways where you have a very specific starting point. Another thing you can do, you can use an effector to cull. If you want to get rid of some of these, you could use um, a plane effector. Let me think. Or you can use a volume effector and use that in visibility mode, or use fields to make some of these disappear. But in any case, then just make a container that's bigger than this, animate them, and as far as the tearing is concerned, that's just a matter of setting up your simulation. But let's see if this is going to run or if anything else is going to happen. I'm going to simulate. So let's go to scene and set gravity to 0 and go here, right click and make these soft bodies and see if this is going to do anything. Wait a few seconds for the data to go up to the GPU and let's see if this is going to explode. There you go. So you can see the fact that nothing is moving away like crazy. That means that we don't have intersections. So now you can go and slowly inflate these. So inflate them, make an overpressure of, let's say, 2 with an expansion time of 15. So in 15 frames, the pressure is going to go from atmosphere 1 to 2 or to 3. Make sure if you're inflating that you have stretchiness and bendiness. This is the number one mistake everyone makes with simulations. You're telling it to do something and you don't give it the breathing room to do that. So we need to be able to stretch and bend. So 50 and 50. And let's see what this is going to do. Let's do the trumpet sound. And they're slowly inflating. I have an idea. Why don't I do this to fewer spheres? It didn't have occurred to me that actually, if I reduce the number of spheres for demonstration purposes, I'm too vain for that. That's the problem. The bad parts of my character take over, you know. So now it's going to be slightly faster. And you can see they're inflating. And if you have some sort of cloth, I'm going to inflate them even more. Balloon 5. And let's go.
Balloon 5. Somehow that reminded me of a band name, but that was wrong.
The new band, Balloon 5. Oh, the other thing I need to do, make sure that the soft bodies are soft, because now the poles inside there, maybe I need to increase their softness so it's easier for the inflation to push them out. And you dress this with a cloth, and depending on how much pressure you put on these things to push out and controlling your tearing and all that, you can control it with vertex maps and all that. You can get that effect. All you need is patience. Patience.
Oh, we don't have that. We don't have that. Patience is one of the rare goods here.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Jonathan, I hope this gives you a pointer. We will start winding down for the last 5 minutes. Are we okay with that, Jonas?
Yes, we have 5 more minutes, definitely. We really have to close after an hour today. So I was having a look at the question for the surgery. Let me get that. How to make surgery cut animation with proper texturing on surface and inside the cut. Volume builder can't be used. Yes, that's true. So
I wouldn't use. Yeah, go ahead. Give your proposal.
So what I would do for the surgery thing is actually, so what I prepared here is already some type of skin, right? And I created a morph tag, and we can wait. What happened here? Give me a second. Open. Oh, I think I messed something up. Let me go back here. Where is my? I had two objects in here. So open and close. If you want to create something with the morph tag and you really want to have two objects here, where you create two objects with the same topology, that's important. And then if you want to use one as the morph tag, as the morph target, you can just drag and drop it in here. And we're going to use a relative morph target. So we click no. And now here we can morph that open and close. So what you can then do here is in this state, maybe let me hide this. You could go to top view and grab the UVs from here. And this way you could create the perfect projection, but you need UVs for that. That's the important thing. So can we do that from here directly? Or let me switch to the UV edit layout. That's not the one that we want. We want this one. And let me just go to projection and do a frontal projection. So this is what we have. And select all these, and well, boundary to quad won't work. So for now, I just want to create a fast solution here. So let me just move this in place. So now we have the UVs for exactly that. And then what we can do with the morph target, since we have these two states, and let me switch to animate mode here. That still works. All right. And what we can do now is we can use a morph deformer. And the morph deformer is in here. Let's go down here. Where is it? Morph deformer. I'm going to hold down shift to make it a child. And it automatically has the morph target in here, or the morph tag in here. And as you can see, we can still use the morph target in here. But the cool thing is that we now also have a fields tab. So we can use a linear field and put that in Z direction and maybe make it a little bit smaller to blend between the two morphs. And this way you could create the morph, or the cut. Yeah, it's pretty simple. You just need to know that you can do that with, I did that again. There we go. You just need to know that you can do that. So you create a morph tag with the closed state and the open state. And then you create a morph target, a morph deformer, sorry. Use the Pose Morph tag in it and a linear field to blend between the open state and the closed state. And now if I put a texture on this, so let's just go with some sort of label. Maybe we can see it with that. Maybe something that has a little bit of detail in it. Well, of course, we need a material for that. So let's create a material. And in this case, I'm just going to throw the label onto the color here. That's going to work. And edit here. And now let's see if that will work texture-wise. Yeah, you can see that it works. So that mouse is really giving me a hard time here. So there we go. And this can also be extended to like something in depth. So if you have a whole layer of skin that you want to cut and you want to see the flesh beneath it, then this could be the way of doing it.
And of course, it depends on the detail you want and all that. This could be your baseline approach. And then you can, if you want to make this look better, you can use a volume builder and use, remember in the beginning when I showed the first thing of storing the data on some object, this could be your initial object at high resolution, and then those colors propagating using a shader field on your volume measure and stuff like that. There are combinations of this that you can use to texture it and so forth. But this is the, I would say, the backbone of what you're trying to make. And yeah.
So what I did now as well is I just added a subdivision surface, and as you can see, it still looks really good texture-wise, right? So we have that here. It's perfect. Yep.
Okay, we have about a minute. I'm going to rush through.
Well, I would like to wrap up because I really have to leave. I'm sorry. We can keep these questions for the next time, or if you want to continue alone, that would also work. But I really have to leave.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to say single word, single word answers. Is there a way to expose an app? Next time, send the questions on Twitter. DM me with questions and stuff like that.
We know that there are some questions left. We're just gonna we're gonna maybe screenshot them and use them for the next time.
Yeah, but my DMs are generally open. Don't send me production scenes, and don't send me scenes that have anything that is not necessary. No third-party plugins or anything like that, and only the necessary stuff to show the problem. And yeah.
All right. I'm really sorry that I have to rush this so much now. Give me a second. Where do I have my? Oh, come on. Where's my? Yeah, that's what happens when you wanna wrap up.
And apparently,
all right.
Lasso
go here.
The light.
Did I put it here? This is where I put it. All right, good. So very quickly. So again, when you want to watch whatever show that we're doing, you can find it on the Maxon events page. Just go there to find out all the events that we are attending, if it's live events or that we are hosting here as live streams. In case you want to catch up with something because you missed it or you want to watch it again, always go to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, and here you will find the recordings also of this session. If you want to get started with any of our apps, Cineversity is the best place to find high quality tutorials, and there's also more than just the getting started tutorials. But these are a good starting point. And I'm going to switch certification. If you are interested in certification, have a look at the website. Well, here, certification, here under Learn, certification. And last but not least, we have the Maxon Ask the Trainer exclusive wear store. And let's just show the passphrase again, because that's what you have to put in when you enter the site, and then you pick a t-shirt and you would only have to pay for the shipping. All right, and that's pretty much it for today. So thanks for all your questions. And next week, we're going to have an Ask the Trainer with Dustin Valkema. You know him already. And we're going to talk about compositing with Redshift AOVs. Also check out next week's Demystifying Post-Production about pyro simulation. And we're going to have one
special
of
guest.
our simulation developers on there. So this is going to be the perfect session for a deep dive. And of course, we have tons of other sessions as well that are coming up in December. All right. With that being said, have a great rest of the day and hope to see you next time.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everyone. Bye.